But we want to train to be effective on the battlefield because we don't want to die. But when we're training in the dojo, we have that. There are consequences. If you make a mistake on the battlefield, you die. If you make a mistake in the dojo, should you die? It's not a good business model.
No.
So it's about choices, and we have to train ourselves to make the right choices. We need to make the right choices automatic. So the initial thing, the initial choice is, do I resist and fight back? Or do I see what happens? Do I stay curious? So going back into the leadership in the workplace, how do we do that? And curiosity is a great thing. Patience is a great thing. I think a really important thing is that we acknowledge conflict. It exists. We experience it every day in tiny ways. We experience it in the workplace. Now, this is a great thing. I want to say that conflict is a wonderful thing. Diversity of opinion is critical to the building of an organization. If we all think the same, we all make the same mistake. So if we have diversity of opinion, then we're going to have conflict in minor or major ways. So, and look, and I was very conflict adverse. I didn't want to know about it. I wanted to pretend it wasn't happening. And I think there are other people. I don't think I'm the only one in the who's ever existed who's tried to avoid conflict. I had to learn to allow it and go, okay, well, I'll deal with it, and then we can practice it because conflict resolution is a skill. It's not, oh, I can do it, he can do it, she can do it, they can't do it. It's not like that. We can all do it to a greater or lesser extent,
Yeah.
and we can all improve it.
I'm glad that you brought that up because I was actually not thinking about it because one could argue that one way to avoid conflict is to stick your head in the sand, pretend that nothing is happening, the elephant is not in the room. But there are so many situations where the elephant is shiny, it's in the middle of the room, and someone should have the courage to point it out. But the environment is such that nobody feels safe. That the level of threat that is perceived by the room is much higher than the potential reward of keeping an open mind and stay curious and go like, hey, there's a shiny elephant there. What do we do about it? Because the risk could be being sacked or suffering a number of other perhaps less extreme but still not pleasant consequences. And so we shut it down. The problem for me is that that's where learning stops, right? We talk a lot about data and the knowledge economy and transforming organizations. Digital transformation is nothing but, it's often perceived as a bunch of technology, but it's not the tech. It's how we think, it's how we structure teams, is how we approach challenges, and how can we keep an open mind. Can we be comfortable with unmeasurable things? Because when you measure stuff, some things can be measured, some things cannot be measured and shouldn't be measured. And if you only focus on one or the other, you only have half the picture, and it's hard to make progress. So I think I'm digressing, but I do see the importance of saying, hey, handling conflict, yes, but conflict in itself is not a bad thing. It's an opportunity to learn. It's how we respond to it then that matters and can have a huge difference on our
Well, I
future.
think it's a conflict is inevitable. Otherwise, why have we all been experiencing it all of our lives?
Yeah.
So you made a really good point there, or you touched on something. Courage, courage is intrinsic. So it takes courage to walk into a dojo and say, "Hey, I'm a grown-ass human being, and I want to learn something." Because a lot of us are kind of conditioned to pretending we already know everything. And, that's anathema to learning. If we want to learn something, we have to acknowledge, there's something that we don't know. This is a bit of an aside, but it astonishes me that people come to learn and they're disappointed that they don't already know it. And I kind of think, well, if you already knew it,
Why would
why would you come? So, but it's uncomfortable, isn't it, for us
Mhm.
to acknowledge, yeah, I don't know, because we put such a premium on expertise. But, the real experts are the people most likely to say, I don't know.
That is so true.
So that courage thing is really critical. We've got to have the courage to assess what's coming in, because the reaction is whatever's coming in. If it's lethal or if it's, innocuous,
Hmm.
I'm going to react the same way anyway. But having that courage to maintain our stability and watch it go past or guide it past or simply absorb it, that's a really big thing.